Welcome back to Focus Today, and delighted to have back with us today Josh Bernstein, TV talk show host. He's the official spokesperson for the Association of Mature American Citizens. That's the one you want to join, not AARP, but AMAC. And we have a lot to talk to him about. How you doing, Josh? Good to see you, bud.
I'm doing great. Great to be back with you.
Yeah, boy, a lot going on. Well, listen, what do you think so far of the first 2.5 days of the presidency?
Pretty substantial. I mean, look, you could almost say that President Trump has gotten more done in the lead up to his inauguration in the couple of weeks before, as well as the first couple of days, than Barack Obama accomplished, I would say, in his first 100 days or more. When you talk about the jobs that are coming back, from Carrier to the Ford plant to Tim Cook, looking at bringing jobs back here as well. Infrastructure plans that are going to be built in the blue states, in Michigan and Wisconsin and things like that. And then you look at the fact that we just literally dodged a bullet with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Not just a bullet, a missile launcher is what we have dodged with that, because that would have affected us in every way, from sovereignty to the Constitution to our internet freedom to immigration and everything else. So I'm really glad that he pulled us out of that. He's doing directives right now as we speak on immigration to get the construction for the wall built on the southern border. We have seen, he's going to renegotiate NAFTA. He's going to meet with the leaders of Mexico and May in England and Nieto in Mexico and Trudeau in Canada. He's going to meet and try to renegotiate NAFTA. So I think he's doing a lot of really great things. He's going to repeal Obamacare as soon as everything is set forward and put in motion. I think there's a lot of movement going, and a lot of it has been done obviously through some executive action. But I think once the cabinet is fully confirmed, most of that stuff will be being done through legislation, because look, we don't necessarily want it to be exactly the way Barack Obama did his entire 8 years, which was basically non-legislatively and through executive action.
The President Obama, on his way out the door within hours, he sent $221 million over to the Palestinian Authority. And I don't know, they're saying maybe not so fast, but could he do that when there was congressional action not to do that? Have you figured that one out yet?
I haven't, but I will say this, that he's never let the Constitution and or Congress get in the way of anything that he's wanted to do. We've seen that clearly with DACA and DAPA, the amnesty programs that he's done, even changing Obamacare, his signature legislation, without congressional approval. So I wouldn't put it past him to have done that, as well as some of the other things that he's done as far as executive action on guns as well as ammunition on the way out the door. So he's been absolutely horrible. I'm just very thankful, and America should be very thankful that he is no longer the president of the United States.
What was your take on the Women's March in Washington? And of course, they were all over the country. We had two fairly good-sized women's marches here in Oregon, one in the southern part, one in the northern part. What's your take on that?
My take is very simple. This was nothing and had absolutely nothing to do with women's rights. It had everything to do with bashing President Donald Trump. These women should be ashamed of themselves, especially Madonna, and what she said. She should be arrested. She should be thrown in prison, looking at life in prison, because what she is guilty of is Code Title 18, Section 871, threatening the life of a president, whether it was tongue-in-cheek or not. And then Ashley Judd reading that horrific, disgusting poem. Look, I've been renaming it the Million Skank March for a reason, because these women were absolutely horrendous, dressing up, in women's private parts, costumes, and running around. I mean, what did they think that they were going to accomplish by doing any of these things? There was a really great ad that has just recently come out. The Washington Free Beacon put it out, and it was kind of a knock against Hillary Clinton's ad, where she had Donald Trump talking about different things that he said, and then it says, "The children are watching." Well, you know what? The children were obviously watching the Million Woman March, and I don't think that they were too pleased with what they had to see. I've talked to lots of women on both sides of the aisle, and they are disgusted with the behavior of these Hollywood elite idiots.
Speaking of children, in Oregon, and I would assume that at the National Mall, a lot of these women brought their children to that march. I mean, I'm stunned.
You know what? I'm not stunned, because this is what feminism and the feminazi movement has devolved into in the year 2017. You know, a real feminist is someone like an Ivanka Trump, a family woman, a businesswoman, a jack of all trades, a Renaissance woman, beautiful, bright, articulate. That should be the type of woman that women should look up to, not these old, you know, post-menopausal skanks from Hollywood that are really just deplorable and disgusting in every fashion.
All right. He's signing some executive orders on the things that he can change. We saw the Keystone Pipeline put back on the table. And one of the other ones that to me is a real indicator, he did go after federal dollars, tax dollars, going to foreign agencies that perform abortions, and he defunded that. Do you think that's an indicator that he's coming after Planned Parenthood in the United States?
To be honest with you, I hope he does, and I'll tell you the reason why. Lily Rose, live action, wonderful patriot, great woman. She just did an undercover investigation in which she contacted over 50, maybe even more than that, I think it was at least 50 Planned Parenthoods, and asked each one under surveillance recording and said, do you provide prenatal care? No, I'm sorry, we do not provide prenatal care. Oh, you don't? Then she called another one. She called another one. She called another one, about 50 of them. They advertised, Cecile Richards and Planned Parenthood advertised that they are there for prenatal care, for women's health. But they're not. They are literally planned murderhood, unfortunately. And the proof is in the pudding. The investigation was just unfolded. They do not do anything having to do with prenatal care. They are only about termination, and they are only about providing abortions. So yes, I agree with the live action people, and I agree with the fact that we need to defund them completely. I would personally like to see Attorney General Jeff Sessions investigate into the baby parts selling operation that we saw in the last couple of years, and prosecute those that are guilty of what has obviously been a crime.
All right, let me take a break here, Josh. Got a lot to talk to you about. I want to come back to the Keystone Pipeline. I'm wondering if people understand that perhaps one of the economic drivers to turn this economy around is self-sufficiency of energy, and what the pipeline means to us in going down that road. And I'll have you comment on that. We'll take a quick break. We're with Josh Bernstein. And by the way, check out AMAC, and that's the Association of Mature American Citizens. That's the one you want to join, and check it out, AMAC. We'll be right back.
I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.
Welcome back to Focus Today, and talking to our good friend Josh Bernstein, television talk show host, and the official spokesman for the Association of Mature American Citizens, AMAC. And you can go, is it amac.com, Josh?
amac.us. www.amac.us. We are the conservative alternative to groups out there like AARP. So check us out. Anytime someone checks us out and mentions my name, they can get a free membership, no strings attached free membership, or you can call 888-262-2006, amac.us.
Thank you, bud. amac.us. All right, so it has been said, and I've had a lot of folks agree with this, that one of the major things to turn our economy around is energy, becoming self-sustained in our own energy resources. The pipeline certainly plays into that to some degree. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are that lots of voices have said that for years, and to be honest with you, we would not be dependent on foreign oil if we didn't have the environmental lobbyists out there worrying about the California tree frog and the antelope in Antarctica and Alaska. What we need to do is open up the Alaskan National Wildlife Refuge. There's tons of resources right there. We see fracking that's going on around the country. We see oil exploration in places like North Dakota as well as in Colorado, off the Gulf shores in Florida and Texas and Louisiana. So we have an abundancy of natural resources we can drill right here in America. Now, it doesn't have to be the end-all be-all. Eventually, we can look at alternative methods and alternative fuels out there. But why be dependent on countries that do not like us, don't believe in the American experience, the American dream, and they hate us? So why would we then be so dependent on these countries? We wouldn't have to be in a lot of these foreign countries. We wouldn't have to worry about the influence of these foreign countries. And so therefore, I think that the world, in some respects, if we were actually able to drill and explore here and get the finite resources that we already have here, we would be safer as a nation as well. And yes, the Keystone Pipeline is important because not only will it provide jobs, but it'll be American steel, American labor, and American jobs in general. So I think it's a great thing. It should have been done 4 years ago. But more than anything else, I think we should have been drilling in America so that we would be less dependent on foreign oil at this point. We could have been done with foreign oil.
I thought it was interesting that President Trump said the other day as he was signing that executive order to put Keystone back on the table, he said, oh, by the way, I want the pipe made in America.
Exactly. We are seeing a renaissance of America first, and it is truly inspiring. It's a revitalization of this great nation. And it is Morning in America Part 2, let's face it. And I think that he is going to be an incredible president as long as he continues to stick with his campaign policies and promises. I think America is going to turn around in very short order.
All right, I just had John Gizzi on from Newsmax, and he was talking about, from what he understands, the three names now that are on the table for Supreme Court nomination are Neil Gorsuch, Thomas Hardiman, and Bill Pryor. Those are the three names, all pretty much constructionist and pro-constitutionalist, and have a rich history of very conservative writings in their judgments. Any thoughts on any of them?
Look, I hope, and I said this kind of tongue-in-cheek the other day, I hope that he picks a justice that's so right-wing that they're literally walking in circles, okay? I want to see somebody that makes Robert Bork look like a liberal. I think that we need a very hard turn to the right on the court because of a lot of these 5-4 decisions. We have Elena Kagan. We have Justice Sonia Sotomayor. We've got Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We've got a lot of really hardcore internationalist leftists on the court. And we really can't trust John Roberts that much because we've seen some of the things that he's done in past decisions. We need another Clarence Thomas, Scalia, Alito type of person. Neil Gorsuch is a name that is popping up. He's extremely educated. He's got a doctorate degree in philosophy, Columbia, Oxford, Harvard, you name it. His mother served under President Reagan, head of the Environmental Protection Agency, I believe was the department. Very smart guy, has done a lot. He's fought against the Obama administration, against the overreach of the administration as far as the contraception mandate. He's fought against that. Pryor has been someone that's been on the list for a long time. He's, for the most part, has very good bona fides. I think there was one decision about transgender or something that he actually upheld with the other parts of the decision. But ultimately, I don't know a lot about the last person as much, but I'm hoping that we get someone that is going to be like a Scalia, like a Thomas, or like an Alito, not necessarily like a Roberts, because I think Roberts is a little too, down the middle for me.
Well, Josh, you and I both know that this will come down to the Republicans on the committee holding tight during the committee hearings, because you know that this, whoever it is going to really be in for it with the Democrats. Do you see any problems on the Judiciary Committee with any of the Republicans that could go south on us?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so, because I think that they understand the importance of this decision in particular. This will now take 5-4 decisions and put 5-4 decisions or 6-3 decisions back in our favor. You have to understand that Donald Trump, whether it's 4 years or 8 years, eventually he's not going to be president.
Right.
And there'll be another person that takes over that's worse than Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton combined. And they're going to try to undo everything. And they're going to try to pass unconstitutional laws. So there's really two things, and I've said this for the longest time. There's two things that President Trump must do. Number one, he must build and construct a wall on the southern border, because that will protect the integrity and the security of America. And number two, he needs to put 3, if not 4, Supreme Court justices on that court, because believe me, at some point in 4 or 8 years, when he's not president, they're going to try to undo everything, and we're going to need a constitutional stopgap that keeps America from descending back into chaos.
Let me go back to the inauguration just for a moment. I hadn't had a chance to chat with you about it. His speech was pretty pointed, and he did it in the face of 4 sitting presidents, and he did it in the face of a lot of Republicans and Democrats. He went after Congress. He went after certainly Barack Obama's legacy. What did you think of his speech?
I thought it was tremendous, and you know, one of the ways that you can tell how amazing it was is the smug look on Michelle Obama's face. I mean, she was just mortified by the speech as well as everything else, and the whole thing, the whole inauguration, you can tell she was extremely uncomfortable. But his speech was fantastic. It was very reminiscent in a lot of ways of his convention speech. You know, obviously the media attacked it immediately as dark and nasty and divisive, but it really wasn't. It was really about the forgotten man. It was about the people that have not had a voice in Washington because they elect people that do not do what they say they're going to do. And now we finally have someone that not only calls out the establishment, but calls out the establishment in both parties, calls out Washington in general, and says, now there's a new sheriff in town. We're going to do things different. We're going to put the people first for once, for the first time in 30, 40 years. I think it's fantastic.
All right, let's go over to the relationship with the White House and the White House press corps, and Spicer's on the job now. His first speech on Monday, or at least his news conference on Sunday, was kind of interesting because he made a statement. He pretty much put the press on defense, and then he walks out of the room. But he comes back on Monday and he takes Q&A and he tries to smooth it over. Where do you think all this is going?
Well, one thing, I would love to do that job, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that would be, you know, the most fun thing I could possibly do. I would have them squirming like, you know, little toads in the pond. But he's doing a good job. Look, the bottom line is we have to try something different. We've got to be different. We've got to be bold. We've got to fight back against the liberal media. And I don't believe that Mr. Spicer is going to allow the left-leaning media to get one over on him. I think, you know, like he said, our goal and intention is to never lie to the American people. We're going to always be straightforward and shoot straight, but it's a two-way street. And if you want to be able to report on the White House and the dealings and everything else, you've got to be having integrity and honesty as well. It's a two-way street. And finally, that is something that the media is like a slap, you know, they're getting slapped back. They're like, how dare you tell us to be honest? I mean, that's really what they're thinking in their smug elitist minds. So I like the fact that he wants to bring in more people, more bloggers, more video folks out there. He wants to kind of increase the amount of people that are going to be reporting some of the things that are coming out of the White House in communications, so that when a CNN and an MSNBC do not report the facts correctly, you have the Christian Broadcasting Network. You've got, you know, Breitbart. You've got all these other entities that will now say, wait a minute, that's not exactly what he said. You left out this, this, and this. And we're going to be able to hold them accountable now a lot easier. And I love that fact. Interesting.
So he's off and running 2.5 days. He's always done quite a bit of things. It's a touchy thing, Josh, that he has to use the executive orders to unwind the abuse of use of executive orders by Barack Obama. The question, I think you kind of alluded to it, will he return back to a cabinet and get the executive branch back into an accountable state as one of the 3 branches of government? So what do you think?
Well, I think every liberal in America right now is really regretting the fact that Obama ever uttered the words "a pen and a phone." because you are correct. Look, we don't want to see an executive branch run the way that it has been run. However, as I've said on past shows, even on your show for the past couple of years, that the Republicans in Congress have created the environment that allows the executive branch to operate in this capacity by not stopping Barack Obama when he took upon this type of attitude and everything else.
Good point.
So when his cabinet is put in place and everybody is put in place and we can start going back to the old way of things, the way that it's supposed to be done through the legislative process, I think that that's going to be better for America. You'll have more political discourse, you'll have more discussion, and you'll be able to put forward great ideas collectively. But the way that it's going right now and the way Barack Obama's legacy has been written is a pen and a phone. Let's face it, he doesn't really have anything legislatively in 8 years that was an accomplishment. I mean, his signature plan is on the ash heap of history, thank God. So when you think about all the things that he, quote, accomplished, they were all done through memorandum. They were all done through executive orders and actions, and they can all be reversed. And that, to me, is the best part of this, because none of this will hopefully ever be permanent. But I do agree with you. I would like to see us go back to going through the legislative process the correct way. But the problem is that the environment right now has been the executive over the legislative and judicial, and that needs to change.
Well, we'll see what happens. You know, it says in the beginning days of all of this. I got a sense from President Trump's inaugural address, which was basically the people. You know, he's returning the people in charge of its government, that he himself would subordinate in that action by bringing the executive branch back into accountability with the legislative and the judicial branch.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that he understands that it was the millions of Americans who were fed up with the system, the capitalist, cronyist, system that it is. Capitalism, of course, is great, but the cronyism and the way that it's been run and operated for so many years with the political class against the rest of us, he finally broke through that, and he was elected because he was able to break through that. So now he has to keep his promises and his policies directly to the people. And as I've said before, it's more than likely that the Republicans will fight against President Trump in the first 100 days more than they ever fought in 8 years against Barack Obama. And the way that he's going to get his agenda through Congress is he's going to have to come to us. He's going to have to come to you and everybody else and realize that, hey, these congressmen, these senators are blocking my agenda. Therefore, I need your help to put pressure on them to make America great again.
By the way, that's exactly how Ronald Reagan got things through. You go into the district of a legislator that wasn't with him. Hey, good to see you, Josh. God bless your friend. Take care of yourself, Josh Bernstein, and check out AMAC, amac.us. We'll see.
Also, one more thing, you can download my new app on Android or iPhone.
All right, thanks, buddy. See you next time. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.